Hey guys, it's Katie at scrappinkaty.ctmh.com. And over the weekend, I was able to finish a few extra layouts for the Christy's Beautiful Life 30 Days of Sketches that I missed during March. And so I wanted to share just a couple of them with you. This particular one was for day 29, and it is going to be a layout of our middle son. I believe his sophomore year. I took a couple of photos at a basketball tournament during spring break. And so I loved how the polka dot pattern in this sketch kind of plays on a basketball. So I am looking through my stencil packs, and the stencil pack 3 has a polka dot pattern, and it's like larger polka dots, and then it goes down to little bitty smaller ones. Now, my favorite color to use, it is retired, but I stocked up on it. My favorite color to use for my basketball layouts is Goldrush. And so I pulled out some cardstock from that color as well as an ink pad. And I'm just going to lay that 12 by 12 polka dot stencil over this piece of cardstock. Now I do have a piece of our all-purpose mat underneath it. Now I do cut mine apart. I only need a partial one because this 12 by 12 definitely has a solid border all the way around it. I'm not going to go really off that piece of cardstock that much. So I've just taped that to that all-purpose mat just to make sure it doesn't move. And then I'm going to use my mini blending tool to pick up the ink. Now, if you've seen me do some inking before, you know I usually try to start off my project, but you can see that there's a lot of surface on this 12 by 12 stencil that is that stencil material. And so I'm basically trying to start on that plastic and then work my way to the little polka dots. So I have finished that up, and then I am trying to lay everything out on my layout. Now, as you can see, I have two 4x4 photos, and I pulled just a 6x6 paper pad of what we used to call fundamentals, and I'm trying to just pull some colors from the photos as well as colors that I know will go well with that gold rush. So far I have a couple of blues. I have that red to maybe go with my wristband, and then a mustard color. So I'm just going to finish looking through these, and I'm going to use these to mat my photos and then mat mainly that photo. There's going to be a strip of photos that I'm going to mat on this white daisy cardstock. So I'm just going to pull out my trimmer and just loosely cut. I am not measuring much of anything on this layout, which also made it come together really quickly. Now, even though I did speed it up for you guys, like I said, it just really came together. I believe the finish time was 22 minutes before I sped it up. So right here, I am just edge distressing. Nothing says boys like edge distressing to me. And this is a tool I have, but if you've seen a couple of other videos, I've shown you where you can do this with scissors. You just need to be careful. The scissors need to be sharp, and you just rough up those edges. And of course, close to my heart, cardstock has that white core, which really lends itself to that distressing. Now, if you recall, the sketch really didn't have this piece askew, but I decided just to kind of add some interest to the layout, I was going to go ahead and do that. Now, I do have the larger polka dots off to the right, and I just felt like it looked a whole lot better than the left. I wish I would have left that decision on camera so you could try and kind of see what I'm talking about. So right here, I've decided there needs to be something in between that gold rush and that white daisy just to kind of break it up. So I've just cut strips from some of that pattern paper that I pulled, and I am just going to attempt to tuck it behind. You guys know that I don't really tape the edges of my cardstock, so I can tuck things behind. Now these pieces are just a little bit too big, so I'm going to pull out my scissors and just trim them down a hair. They're a little larger than 1/4 of an inch, probably 3/8 of an inch. So I'm going to trim those down, and then that's going to make it really simple to tuck behind that piece of Goldrush cardstock. And then you'll see here in a second where it just really adds that extra something that I think that piece needed. So I'm just adding tape adhesive like you saw, and then just tucking those pieces in behind. Now, I didn't have 12 by 12 pieces, but don't worry, if you have 6x6 or maybe even scraps, it's really easy to kind of blend them together. And if there is a seam, then you can hide it with embellishments like you'll see me here in just a second do. So I'm just going to finish gluing that down and then trim that excess off. So like I said, these photos are from our middle son in his sophomore year. And I don't know if you know, but in the state of Texas, you have to drive pretty much 3 hours to get anywhere. Um, so this particular spring break weekend, I was checking the back of these photos. These are the photos that I got from Shutterfly, and I just love to dump all my Instagram photos every once in a while. And if you print to Shutterfly, it actually prints the sentiment or the little blurb that you wrote on Instagram. So I was just kind of checking out the back of those photos, and one of the photos said, my entire weekend was spent driving, watching basketball, yelling, eating, driving, watching basketball, yelling, eating, driving, and watching basketball. So we played in 2 different gyms, I believe, and so we had to go a couple of places, as well as the 3-hour drive to get there. And so I'm definitely going to include a little bit of that in my journaling, just so he can remember. I don't think he'll forget, but just so he can remember what his mama used to do and the lengths she used to go to get him to basketball games on weekends. So you saw there, I just kind of hollowed out that diagonal stripe piece of paper just in case I want to use it again later. And I've pulled out these old sticker complements. I believe I've already used these on one of the Christy's Beautiful Life sketches, but I can't really remember. But these stickers are perfect. They've got some pennants, which the sketch has larger pennants. But the good thing about a sketch is you can just take one element and make it however you want. So I kept the pennant, but I just kind of used drastically smaller ones. So the photos would definitely be my focal piece. Now you can see here, this is where I have hidden the seams of those tiny little pieces that I've tucked underneath that Goldrush cardstock. And those stars just go right over those seams and you never even can tell. So for the title, the stickers have a title that says All Star. I was going to put Eat, Live, and Play because, like I said, my journaling did comment on, or did kind of allude to the fact that it was driving, watching games, eating, yelling, all of that stuff. But I really ended up just liking the all-star part, mainly because I needed some more green on this layout. So to finish the layout, this is going to come together really quickly. I'm just using Goldrush ink and going to ink around all the edges of that layout, and we're done.